Whether you're an owner-operator looking for a third-party solution to view your tank monitor readings remotely, or you're a technician wanting to find a way to help your customers review their tank readings remotely, this video is going to be a quick overview of my top 3 third-party devices to help you do that. This is not going to be an in-depth tutorial on how to install and configure these devices, just a brief overview. We'll let you know some of the options out there, a basic understanding of how they work, what you need to set them up, and hopefully help you choose a device that's going to be right for you or for your customer. So let's jump into it. Number 1 on my list is the P.T.U Device Commander 2. This is by far the simplest to implement on this list. When you get this device, you're simply going to get the P.T.U commander itself, a power supply, and all the cables and connectors you need to connect this to just about any tank monitor out there. Basically, the way this one works is you're going to use one of the serial adapters to connect whichever cable you need to connect to your tank monitor, and then you are going to plug this via the Ethernet cable or network cable into the site's ISP, and then you're going to call P.T.U, and P.T.U will connect into the device via a VLAN connection, at which point they will configure it to match whatever baud rate serial settings you have set in the tank monitor so they can connect in. One nice thing about the P.T.U devices is the interface that the customer uses to look at their tank readings, sales data, whatever. P.T.U actually sets up a web page that the customer can navigate to and view live tank readings, sales data, what have you. I really like this option because with the website interface, the customer doesn't have to download any software, run any particular programs, or know how to do DOS commands to get into the tank monitor and look at their readings. They can literally pull it up on their smartphone, any web-enabled device, anywhere on the planet. It's just the best solution. Aside from the occasional long wait for a P.T.U help desk representative to call you back and do the actual setup, this is a very quick, very easy device to configure and to set up. I mean, there's zero configuration on the technician side other than whatever serial settings you choose to set up in the tank monitor. Now, if you're dealing with a Veeder-Root, you do need to have an RS-232 card. For Incon, the serial connection is built in, and then when you're dealing with the newer tank monitors, which are network-based, you simply need to run a network cable from the tank monitor to a switch, plug the P.T.U device commander into the same switch, and set the IP address in the tank monitor, something that's going to be in line with the P.T.U device. And the P.T.U help desk will help walk you through that. Very simple setup. Very effective, very good at what it does. It's number 1 on my list. Now, just a side note, there is another device you can get from P.T.U called the MS3, which will also connect to a managed module port on their Verifone Commander, possibly other POSs as well, that will present sales data as well as the tank readings that the customer can review remotely. So that's the P.T.U Device Commander 2, and it's my top pick. All right, moving on. Next up on my list is the Lantronix UDS 1100. In my part of the world, this is the most commonly used third-party solution to remotely connect to a tank monitor. Out of the box, you're going to get the Lantronix device itself with a power supply and a ready-made 25-pin to 9-pin serial cable, which is perfect if you're working with an Incon tank monitor. It is direct plug and play, very simple. Configuring the Lantronix UDS 1100 is a bit more complicated than the P.T.U commander, but not horrible. You are going to use Lantronix's free program, the device installer, which you can download online. And I will be doing an in-depth tutorial on how to use the device installer to configure this particular solution in the near future. The UDS 1100 is most commonly used when connected to customers' MNSP, such as Hughes, Mako, Sibera, Control Scan. Fairly straightforward process. Where it gets a little more complicated is if you're trying to connect this directly to a network connection, such as the site's ISP. It can be done, and because the Lantronix devices are so widely used in multiple industries, there is a plethora of information online about how to set up the port forwards and network structure that you need to be able to connect this directly to the internet so that the customer can view their tank readings remotely. So number 3 on my list is the StarTech device server. This is not at the number 3 position because it's any less capable than the other 2 options, just that the setup is a bit more complicated. So much like the Lantronix, you're going to have a serial connector on one side and a Ethernet connector on the other. You are going to plug the serial side into your tank monitor and the Ethernet side into either your ISP or MNSP device. Once that's done, you are going to actually have to connect into the StarTech device server using a web browser, and you are going to have to configure your network settings as well as your port settings manually. So you do have to have an understanding of your network topology or the site's network topology to get this up and running and communicating. Also, if the site isn't going to use this in conjunction with their MNSP, then you are going to have to do a bit more intensive port forward settings in the site's ISP. Luckily, StarTech has a fantastic help desk, and their support agents should be able to walk you through almost any of this. I would say that skill-wise, you do have to be at least familiar with some basic port forward programming as well as network and port programming before you're going to be able to install this. One thing to note about the StarTech is it does not come with any serial cables, so you are going to have to provide or make your own cable to interface this with whichever tank monitor you're using. Currently, it does come with a 9-pin serial connector, so if you are connecting to, say, a 25-pin serial connector on a Vitaroot tank monitor system, you are going to have to purchase some adapters to get this set up. So there you have it. That's my top 3 choices for third-party devices to allow you to connect to your tank monitor remotely. Again, this is just a quick overview. I will probably do a more in-depth tutorial for each of these devices sometime in the near future. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.